As Jesus was leaving the temple grounds, his disciples pointed out to him the various temple buildings. But he responded, "Do you see all these buildings? I tell you the truth, they will be completely demolished. Not one stone will be left on top of another." Later, as Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will all this happen? What sign will signal your return and of the end of the age?" Here, the disciples of Jesus ask him three questions. First, when will all this happen, or when will the temple be destroyed? This happened 40 years later in 70 AD when the Romans destroyed the temple in Jerusalem and not one stone was left on top of another, just like Jesus said. Number two, what will be the sign of your return? Jesus answers this question later in this chapter when he says, "Then at last the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning among all the peoples of the earth, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." And number three, what is the sign of the end of the age? Jesus answers this by saying, "Nation will go to war against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in many parts of the world. But all this is only the first part of the birth pangs, with more to come." The expression nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom is a Jewish idiom for world war. What Jesus is saying is, when you see world war, that is a sign you are now living at the end of the age. We have been the first generations to see world war. World War I, they said, was the war to end all wars. But it wasn't long after that World War II came along. And now most believe it is just a matter of time before the start of World War III. Jesus also said there would be famine at the end of the age just before he returns. On average, since the start of World War I and the end of the age, 1 million people a year die from famine. Jesus also said there would be pestilence at the end of the age. It is interesting to note that the greatest pandemic in the history of the world hit at the same time as World War I. It was known as the Spanish flu. It killed around 50 million people worldwide and actually killed more people than the war itself. Since World War I, there have been many pestilences around the world. Today, we see another global pandemic known as COVID-19 killing thousands of people around the world. These are signs the return of Jesus is very close. Finally, Jesus said earthquakes in various places would be another sign of his soon return. Since World War I, there have been more major earthquakes around the world than all the preceding 1900 years since the time of Jesus. This tells us the return of Jesus is very close.